And do you think you could like easily integrate like this token-based voting model with the election
Um,
system they are using, or because they are probably using something that is based on people or identities or
yeah,
something?
yeah, yeah. It wouldn't. I don't think it would be that easy to integrate with that. It's kind of a totally separate thing. I was thinking it would be easy to have people's wallets submit their like votes, but so you could associate like the encrypted votes to people if you wanted, but I'm not sure that would be useful. It's basically just an entirely different system that wouldn't integrate well with that. It's yeah, it's like it's fairly tailored to like regular like vanilla elections. It's actually been used in like I think 3 or 4 different U.S. states and a couple of like I think the Democratic caucus used it the last time they elected people in the U.S. and things like that. So it's fairly like tailored to standard elections and not native crypto stuff.
I don't know how hard that would be, but I think if you could like get that system and adapt it like to token-based models or even to decentralized
Yeah,
identities or something, then you probably have a
yeah,
proposal with potential
yeah,
because you're actually building like something really nice, really new, and that would be useful. I don't know if Pedro
yeah.
is speaking, but he's muted.
Okay. Thanks. I'll write that
No,
down.
no,
That's
no.
a good idea.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I was muted. I was just distracted here because I have Paulo. He's working with us
Oh,
on the 3D
hello.
models. And so he's preparing some key holders with astronauts with the Cardano logo as as a face. And so, can you see it?
Yeah, yeah. That's cool.
So yeah, it's crazy. These guys can just break it apart and draw whatever they want on it. So
Wow.
really excited about that. Yeah. Um, sorry to maybe I distracted you, but no, both. Yeah, Paulo and you guys.
Yeah, yeah.
Sorry. We have Fireflies already, but we're going to edit the recording just to trim the top part of it. So maybe if you guys agree, we can start, focusing on the Constitution part.
Oh yeah. Totally. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, no
but
problem. Also, Jeff, if you ever want to talk or anything, glad to share
Oh
ideas. And yeah, go ahead, man. I want. I think there's a lot of potential there, like of
cool.
improvements
Thanks.
in terms of voting. So if you are excited about that, you should explore it.
Yeah, yeah. Totally. I'm gonna make a little thing about it and send it out and talk to people and everything. Hopefully, I just it's very new. I just got excited about it like the day before yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks.
cool. Thank you, man, for sharing. And let's go.
Yeah.
yeah,
Cool.
well, yeah. Aligning with what Rafael is saying, maybe we can meet on the 45B's Discord, or that Jeff is there, Rafael is there as well. We're going to create a chat now for Fund 13, which is about to
Oh,
start.
cool. Okay.
So maybe we could
Yeah.
brainstorm those ideas there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just going to reset the thing and start, welcoming people for the governance discussion. Okay. So, yeah, welcome to another GovCall, as we've been calling them. We have Rafael on the call, we have Jeff. Both are going to be attending the Cardano Constitutional Workshop in Lisbon this Saturday. And we've just been going over miscellaneous topics around governance. And today, I'm just going to start sharing my screen. We have... maybe we could, sorry, this way you're going to have feedback. So I'm just going to share again, share the window. Should be, there we go. So like I was saying, we've been going over this Miro board. There's a number of things on there. I'm going to share the link if you guys want to hop on, and so that you can edit if you want. And I'm going to go into the chat. Show what that was. Right. Just maybe what we could start with a quick recap. On the previous call, we were talking about how governance is a train in motion, and it's going to go ahead, whether we do a lot of changes and feedback, or we don't. I remember Sebastian was mentioning this point. Simple is better, and maybe we start from the values and principles of Cardano and build it up from there. But like we said, we have this situation which is ongoing, so it's important to engage everyone. One thing that we've decided as hosts of the Lisbon Constitutional Workshop is to print all, like actually Rafael was in the team call, to print constitutions and share them in this event so that people can, even if they just look through it, it would help give them an opportunity to explore a bit more in detail. So I'm talking about the PDF one that is there, or sorry, drafts Constitution. And today, sorry, I'm digressing a bit from there. Yeah, there's a lot more stuff here that we spoke about on the last call. I invite you to see it on YouTube. We have a playlist that's accumulating these things, and go into a bit more detail by browsing the Miro as you listen to the YouTube. Today, like I was showing you, we are going to for Saturday we're going to print this and a nice little booklet for everyone, so you can be invited to scribble and to highlight and to do whatever you want with pieces of it. There's also this one which I think could be useful for us today to have a look, at least especially at the overall structure and maybe some specific points that we want to go into. And yeah, as a recap as well, the session topics for our Saturday are going to be Constitutional Committee and the separation of powers. So I'm just keeping this one handy here. Personally, what I've done since is really just get familiar with the overall structure of the Constitution and be running around overall with the preparation of things, right, for the event. I'm not sure, do you guys want to share something to before we start more going into different sections, or?
I
Jeff,
guess.
have you been progressing in terms of getting to know these things?
Oh yeah. So I read and marked up that same PDF draft a couple like probably a week ago or something, and then that sort of giant word vomit on the Miro board is like me typing up some of my like longer form of some of my kind of notes, and I was just realizing that that's way too specific, and I should prioritize what to bring up more than that, and maybe the top like things I thought would be like contentious and important were like the DREPs thing, and then the can organizations vote on behalf of their like holders, like can exchanges vote and stuff, but that's not, I don't know if that's separation of powers.
Yeah, probably is.
And then I have some other notes, but I would have to look at them. Yeah. Oh, one thing I was thinking is people might find it a lot more approachable if we just sort of like split it into like main text and then like parameters, because like the bulk of it is like, I mean, I know you can't really not talk about the parameters because they're like all the important decisions are in there, but like if people knew that the main text of it wasn't nearly 40 pages, they might be less intimidated by it,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think.
Sorry, go.
Go ahead. No, go ahead. I can say what I was going to say afterwards. No worries.
Yeah, I agree, but I'm just puzzled how easy or complicated would it be to just separate it? Because if you separate it, you have to keep referring the text to the parameters. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
Well.
No, as we spoke probably in the last call, I think it was a team call. I don't know if we can do that, but if we can, I think for the what was it? The first thing, Constitutional Committee. Yeah, for the Constitutional Committee, we could do that.
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should try to like give a focus to the most important information in terms of the topics we are going to discuss. because there are other things in the constitution like principles and tenets, all the other topics. Although the separations of power topic is one that is a little bit hard, because from what I read and just kind of what I understand, it kind of consists of the three main groups that would be like the Constitutional Committee, then the SPOs, then the DREPs. So it kind of gathers all these three sections, and then probably we have the Constitutional Committee, which we are going to see anyway. But maybe if we could highlight that part for the Constitution, I think that would be useful for people because they would know what to read instead of having to read everything. And I don't know if we have time to read 40 pages, right?
The thing here, I've been working with designers about a number of things that we are trying to put together for the event, and we were just looking at this one when we planned to print it, and even just the margins that it has and the type font and etc. If you open this, it's all just like a big vectorial thing. So we probably are not going to be able to do more than just zoom in and in terms of manipulating this document, because we're just going to put a cover in the front and in the back, and we can't really edit this like if it was a Google Doc, because unfortunately I couldn't find it anywhere else in terms of being published by Intersect. So yeah, what we can do is when we do share it, it would be great if we have something like this, but we can't really sketch that together. So when I want to look at the structure, I basically come to this website that someone Mad Orchestra put together. When we want to go into the details or to make sure that we have the most updated version, the draft PDF is what we need to refer to. The thing is, in terms of our discussion for Saturday, what we can do is share. We've already shared the participants guidebook or that kind of thing, where I'm pretty sure it linked to this. But yeah, Jeff is saying maybe we could do OCR, but as you can see there, it's just like tons of paragraphs and indenting and etc.
Yeah, maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah, to do OCR on all this, or even from the vectorials, but to get to this kind of thing, I'm wondering how this guy did it, because yeah,
that can be hard. But maybe if you from the constitutions you're going to distribute, if you can already like highlight the topics people need to read or something like that, maybe that would make it easier.
Sorry, guys. Paulo is interrupting here. Yeah, it's great. It's great. Sorry. Yeah. Sorry, Rafael. Could you repeat that very briefly?
I was just saying that from the constitutions you're going to distribute, maybe you can just highlight the parts we need to read, but not even the whole text, but just the titles that would be good to read, and then it's already easier.
Okay.
Yeah.
So maybe let's work on that on this call, right? Very, very quickly. What we have here, let's try to put some highlights onto the Miro board. So we have the Constitution, here, and we were to select what you just said, we would go from committee. There's a ton of references there, but there's this denser section there.
Yeah, there's a section, I think is 6 or something, that has Constitutional Committee.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So, Article 6, Constitutional Committee. Because this is 5. This is 6.
We'll probably need 5 as well because it's SPOs and the other one above. I think we need every single one of them from the 3 until the 6 probably, but just check the other one.
Okay.
If you check can you check the other one, please?
Oh, this one?
Yeah, just to see Yeah, participatory governance. I think we need that one. That's related. And probably the three ones afterward. Yeah, all the ones below that.
1 second. I'm basically getting it from here to search for it there to get the full name. And what's the next one?
Yeah, just the one below that.
Number 4?
Yeah, I think so. 4 and 5 and 6. 3, 4, 5, and 6. I think those are the
Okay.
ones we for sure need.
Mm-hmm.
And then we need to see if we need something else.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to be copy pasting for a few seconds. I'm not sure if anyone wants to raise anything else or share a bit. It's really just to get to get a bit more productive in the calls, to try to at least come out of the call with something put together, because we've been going around just discussing and discussing.
Totally, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I guess now if we are doing this, I guess what we need to do is read something, right? Probably. Read the
Yeah,
Constitution.
maybe no, I can stop sharing my screen, and maybe what you could do while I do this is share your screen. Do you have it? Do you have anything open with maybe take us through a bit of the Constitutional Committee section,
Yeah,
and
I was
I
trying to
don't.
get into the Miro board, but it's I need to log in, I guess. So
Okay. Well, I can drop it on the chat, the link to this PDF.
yeah, I have the draft here. I think I
Okay.
have it open. I can share it.
Okay.
But
So
I
if
don't
you could,
have. I'm not assessing the Miro.
yeah, no worries. So because I'm really curious to peek into it, and maybe you could take us through a bit what in there,
I don't know
especially.
everything.
No. Just fly over it and tell us what you see, and especially maybe Article 6, which is the Constitutional Committee, right?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I don't know. We should also fly over the ones I guess we are not discussing in the sense of
Yeah.
seeing
I
if
was
there's
actually going to
something
say that the
important.
overall structure of the Constitution could be a better start, right?
What?
Maybe, yeah, just taking a look at the syllabus and the overall, not the syllabus, the name of the articles could be aligning with what we were just doing. I'm going to drop on the chat the online version for the interim.
Sure. I mean the. All right. So you want me to go through these and just mention them? This is one. The Article 1 is more about, right, the principles of the blockchain, the guardrails, the important things we need to make sure are respected, right? And as I understand, this is not directly connected to what we are going to be discussing
Mm-hmm.
in this section, especially because it's, yeah, just more general principles. Then we have this one that is kind of defining what is the Cardano blockchain and community, basically saying that there's a ecosystem, etc. But then it's all about, uh, even though it has other people, at the end of the day, you need ADA to vote. Yeah, even for the rest, right? What I'm not sure here, I'm still in this. Yeah, what I'm not sure, I don't think this one has anything important in terms of separation of power. It's more about the Cardano community contributing to governance, like the different roles that will be in governance. So nothing directly. Here, this one talks about more about the participation, right? Or how the governance will work. And then, for example, here in section 2, it already mentions things like delegated representatives, stake pool operators, how these should be three independent governance bodies. So, on one sense, it talks a little bit already about separation of power, even though in a very general manner. So yeah, I think this one is definitely important for us. And the other ones, trying not to dive too deep into this one because it's quite big. The other ones kind of define the bodies that were represented there in governance and that were mentioned, namely the delegated representatives. Then this one is about stake pool operators, which are another bunch of people with participation in governance. And then the constitutional committee uh, that will basically validate the constitution and ensure that the decisions made respect the constitution, to like tell us basically if they're valid or not, or if they go against the principles we established. Um, then
Just really quick, I just remembered one of the things I thought might end up being important at the convention is like how much can DREPs and SBOs overlap? You know, like would it be a problem if they end up being like 98% the same people, or like and like and if so, like how do you actually prevent that without having to like get everybody's ID and like all that sort of stuff? Yeah, I just remembered that.
yeah, that's one of the things I guess we'll need to discuss in terms of separations of powers. How much people can have even the same role. Like you could eventually have someone who is part of the constitutional committee, who is a direct and who is a stake pool operator, right? There's nothing,
Yeah,
I
totally.
think, against that. And the question is, should we put something against that? Should we stop people? And if we should, how can we do it? Because as you said, without IDs, it's very hard to know, because everyone can create multiple wallets. You can use, I don't know, a VPN, a
Yeah.
script, or whatever you want to try to mask your activity. So
Yeah.
yeah, that would be very hard to like not only think about if we should have separation of powers, but also how can we apply it or prove that someone is going against what is in the constitution as well.
Yeah. Mm.
But yeah, I agree with you. Those are very important questions, and I think maybe that's why we also need to understand very well these three groups, right? What is their role? Is it like how much conflict of interests is there if you're doing one role and you're doing the other, or is it okay, or is it kind of complementary? Those are the things I guess we should talk about as well in the constitution.
Yeah, definitely.
And I don't know where, and the rest where we're, and then the after these articles, I think it's amendments, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So amendments, they are still important, but not not so much related with separation of powers. And then we have here already like appendix, I guess, additions to the constitution, and here is where we need to be, maybe we need to be like, should we dive into these as well? Should we see what kind of amendments affect separation of power? I think that is the only part where we need to think, right? What do you guys think?
Well, I've just been scribbling around on my rule board. So your question is, sorry?
So you have here the basis, right, of the constitution
Yeah.
in some way.
Mhm.
These are like the maybe that what they define first, I don't know. And here it's clear kind of what we need to focus on, right? We need to focus on the governance model, which is the participatory governance. We need to focus on the three different maybe I don't even know if we
Different
need to
roles,
focus
right?
on the three, but it's good to focus on the three different roles. I don't think we
Mhm.
need to,
Yeah.
because I think there's other questions related to SPOs, right, and other stuff that is in the other groups, right, Pedro, or in the
Yeah.
other
Well,
topics.
we're going to focus on the constitutional committee,
Yeah, that's
but
why I'm saying maybe we don't even need to focus on SPOs, but I
I,
think could be good to know if we are going to make a decision about
okay.
separation of powers.
I think it's important to have context on the three of them. That's actually why I thought you were adding them to the sections that
Yeah,
we should have a look at, because where for the first part of the day we're going to just be looking over the Constitutional Committee. On the second half of the day, it's all about conflicts of interest, which is transversal to Cardano. So, you know,
yeah,
for conflicts of interest, you need to be familiar with the Constitutional Committee and every other actor.
yeah. But then what I was mentioning here is that we also have appendix, like things that were added afterwards. Like for example, we have this one in terms of Cardano blockchain guardrails, which I feel it's a little bit connected to the first print, the tenets and guardrails. That is the first one we are not going to explore. But yeah, I don't know if in these amendments we have anything that is related with other stuff, such as what we are doing in terms of
Oh,
separation
yeah.
of powers.
Yeah, I'm not so familiar with the amendments either. I actually thought that this Article 7 is what you're talking about, right?
Which one? The amendments or the?
Yeah.
I'm saying the appendix. Sorry, not the
No, the
amendment. It's
appendix, yeah.
afterwards. It was what was added afterwards. Appendix 1.
Okay. Yeah, these are just to fill in the blanks, I imagine, to cover
Yeah,
some blind spots.
I don't know if they have something more related to what we are doing. To the separation of powers. That's why I was asking. I haven't had the time to go through these ones, so
I
yeah.
think, yeah, separation of powers is probably going to be exactly in the ones where we define the delegate representatives and etc.
I think so as well. Yeah.
I'm just
It's
gonna go find my
interesting
notes for
because
a sec.
if we maybe I can go back to sharing for a sec.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So window this one second. Yeah. Sorry, I'm just not used to having only one screen. That one. So it's really just to be more visual when I'm talking about these. So when we have the definition of them there, it's interesting because it feels like especially we're defining these there, and then I was wondering where the actual governance is defined, but I think the conflict. So because I was looking for places in the Constitution where we could look for defenses or problems against conflicts of interest, right? So I think this could be an interesting section there where it talks about the governance itself. As you can see there's a lot of things mentioning the different actors.
Yeah.
And so I think what I'm trying to get to is if on these articles we're defining these actors, where do we actually define how governance works, how they play with each other, right?
I think there was some part about like the possible governance actions and who has to okay each ones, but I don't remember where it is in there.
Like I think in the participatory governance that we already
Oh, okay.
added, we'll have a lot of things. I think in the amendments, Jeff, as you were saying, there's a lot of other things about, like, more specific about governance that tells you, hey, you need to do this and that. But that's like, I think, the nitty gritty. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But I think there's something there in the amendments.
There's this
The appendix,
section,
I mean,
Chef, as well.
what?
This one,
Yeah,
participatory governance.
that's the
Yeah.
we already considered, right?
Yeah.
Those three. Uh,
Yeah.
I like.
Well,
I feel that
yeah,
what we
yeah,
really need, if we are going to follow the governance, is the three, that is for separation of powers, and we would need the committee. But I think it's good to have the other two,
yeah.
just to have more context, and because we are doing separation of powers. But if we were going to be strict, probably like they are being, because I feel they are dividing the constitution into pieces, and they are asking people questions and just specific questions.
That's all kind of guidelines, though, right? Because like ultimately, they don't decide what the Constitution is at all, right? Like it's just gonna be everyone is gonna make up something, and then everybody's gonna okay it or not okay it. Like I think like we're theoretically allowed to just write an entirely different one if we want, right?
You can
I
write
mean,
it,
except
but
for the
then
guardrails, yeah.
it needs to be approved. And what I think they're going to do is, like, this is the constitution they are creating. They're getting feedback from the people, and then they'll come there in December and they'll put the constitution. And if people vote yes, this one will become the final, like final, not final. You
Yeah,
can then
yeah, yeah.
update it, but it will become the official constitution. And
Yeah.
then if
Totally.
you
I
want to
just
make
meant the thing
changes,
that makes it official is everyone okaying it at the end, though, right?
yeah,
It's not any of the drafts.
yeah. Yeah, what makes it official is everyone okaying it. I think it's in December in that ratification event and etc. And then
Yep.
there should be a vote. Yeah, that's what makes it official. But you could, meanwhile, if you wanted, until then, you could come up with your own version and
Yeah,
create
yeah.
a competitive governor like constitution, I guess. But I'm
Yeah.
not seeing any effort or any
Oh
people
yeah, yeah.
doing.
I'm not saying I want to or anything. It's just like I don't think we necessarily have to follow the same like I'm not sure anybody would have a problem with it if we presented the same info like structured differently, or something. Like I don't think the PDF is like that important or anything.
Ah,
Yeah. Jeff, if you could, like, you have the OCR, like you were talking
Oh
about.
yeah,
You have the
yeah, yeah.
PDF.
So
But the thing
I
is,
think
if
I was
someone
working
wanted,
on it. I'm not sure I got like I think it's like OCRing well, but I'm not sure. I might have it all and just not be able to paste it all. And hold on, I'll see if I can paste it in a different doc.
the thing is, you really need to put it side by side, what you got into text alongside with this to make sure.
Yeah,
And I'm
totally.
really,
And I
yeah,
think actually the OCR thing I'm using, what it gives you is the original PDF with like a new layer of the OCR on it, so you can actually just like you can like like
got it.
Control F for text and it'll
Yeah,
highlight it and
which
stuff.
which you can do here as well, right? Because
Yeah.
if you write there framework, frame, it is finding the
Oh,
words.
okay. So it actually
So
does already have text in it then. It's not just vectors.
probably, yeah.
Maybe there's no need to OCR at all. It's just like you have to just extract that. Maybe you just can't do it on Gitbook is all. I don't know. Or like in the PDF.js or whatever that is.
Let me just check on another window.
Yeah, because it does look like it has a text layer in it already.
Yeah. You're right. But like, for example, here, it's showing me a lot of, yeah, stars and everything. Could be feasible to copy this into a doc. What we could do, for example, the minimum viable product would be to copy the whole constitution into a Google Doc, as you can see, for example, on my screen, and you would get to browse it. Sorry, we don't have it there, but you could use the headings, right? If
Totally.
we
And people like Google Docs because of the annotations and the sharing and everything.
yeah. Okay, so I'm really even puzzled why this doesn't exist, because I'm the kind of guy that usually prefers documents very navigatable and everything. So I like this kind of thing. And yeah. Anyway, so I think that covers a bit the overall outline of the Constitution.
yeah.
And I was adding here like look or create. Uh, I'm not going to be able from here until Friday to create this for sure, but I am going to take a shot at copying all this into a Google Doc, even if I have to go page by page for a little bit. I'm just not, confident some characters or some line breaks or something like that is going to be correct. Because if we do this and we do that and we do like docs.new, we can just drop it in there. You see,
Oh yeah,
it's
that's not it at
not
all.
actually not good, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's always these
I
things.
can I can spend like a little while trying different things. Like I was thinking possibly Pandoc might be able to do it, or like we could
Yeah,
just try a few different things and I
yeah.
could try a few things and see if anything works.
I feel like we could ask Intersect or something like that as well. No.
Oh yeah, they could probably just save it as Word, huh? Yeah.
That could be easier
Yeah.
if we can, because they
Yeah,
have the
that's a better
documents
idea.
for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's do this. I'll try to ask on the facilitators chat, create or ask. Yeah, could be
Ask
a
is
solution.
better if they
Yeah,
give it to you.
No, it's just because
faster.
it's the whole ecosystem, right? And
Yeah, totally.
yeah.
Yeah, and you're not you're good. You have good intentions. You don't want to change the tax. You just want to
Hmm.
make it more easy for people to read in the workshop.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's actually better if it comes from them because then they could say like, these four formats are from the same original or something, and people don't have to check everything.
Hmm. Yeah. So we've dropped this here, and one thing that the only thing I made a note from what we've spoken today so far was how much will different roles overlap or co-influence. I added each other. I'm not sure. Do you want to document a bit more any relevant topics that we've spoken so far, and maybe then afterwards we could, look at other things and explore broadly.
Sure.
Anything else before we move on that we want to document that we touched on? I think the DID's dilemma, for example, you were talking about that.
Yeah, that's like the process of how to track and assure the separation of powers, or
Yeah.
My,
how
my
can you?
intuition is that that's really important, but there's like no chance of agreeing on it by December, right?
Well, if we don't, the thing is, what does it mean for us? Who's us, and what does it mean to agree, right?
That's
So
true.
it's
Maybe
a bit.
just like
It's
in
always going to
principle,
be.
like a DID solution would be good or
Yeah,
something.
it's just all people. That's why I think we're talking about governance and on a broad term, on broad sense, in terms of like the constitution, and on a more specific sense how it was implemented on chain and etc. But in the end, it's a matter of culture and people saying things, influencing each other, and taking actions in one direction or different directions. So I think that's like I usually work in IT as a technical business analyst, and there's like the functional requirements that you write in Word or something like that, and then there's the actual code that you write, and we try to believe both things match, but in the end, it's very different ways of building things, I'd say. So the Constitution, I think the main purpose is to be inspiring, to really define our values, but also to be like a reference of our values, right? And
Yeah.
especially in the context that we can't really trust that the on-chain part or that anyone's not going to be trying to undermine what we're putting together. So that's where culture and society needs to check each other.
Um, Sorry, I'm not very good at Miro yet.
Okay. What I usually do is copy one of them, drag with Alt, and then you can start writing on the other one.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, select one, drag with Alt, and get the same size and everything. And then you can start writing.
Wait, no. Do you paste first or no?
No, drag
Yeah.
while pressing the Alt key. Select it and then drag it, pressing the Alt key.
Yeah, I don't know. For me, it doesn't work for some
Well,
reason.
you can just write
Whatever.
on top of. You can just write
Yeah,
on
yeah.
top of this one.
Cool.
Um,
Um, uh,
so let me check my notes. Overall, broadly, for example, I had this image there that could be a topic for us to talk for a moment. Tolstoy said, "To destroy war, destroy patriotism." And now, for example, for Saturday, I'm preparing 45B T-shirts, and I created one where we have side by side Bitcoin and Cardano, and I think there's a lot of patriotism in blockchain. I don't think we've covered.
true.
Probably our constitution is not cross-chain aware. You know,
Hmm.
I know it's very very much of a digression, but
No, it's good. It's
just
like a
made me think
culture
about
thing.
Yeah, I understand what you mean, but I don't know. I think
Yeah.
as in wars and as in Cardano or Bitcoin, there are a lot of monetary interests. Wherever you have your money and your state, you defend that, right?
Yeah.
Wherever you're invested, and you want the blockchain where you're the most invested to succeed. So the only way I would see for you to destroy that is to make people invest in every blockchain.
Yeah. That's not likely though. Like I could totally see in 10 years everybody just having index funds or something. I don't know.
Yeah, something like that. But I think as long as you have monetary incentives in one blockchain or more, then there's always like something you will prefer or defend more.
Yeah.
And war sometimes is all a lot about that. There are people who have monetary interests or power interests, and sometimes it's not the nations who want to go to war. So people give a reason to the nations and to the common citizen to go to war. And yeah, sometimes they just play with our feelings a lot of times, I feel.
There's one thing very interesting here as well. And I literally had, I'm reading out my on another window. I had a notebook full of weird things that I made a note recently. This is another one. You know, we often say, like, because the current governance system in the world is crooked and biased and, in a loop, someone says this, and what guarantees to us that, we're not going to need to be using this kind of we're not going to get into this situation in Cardano as well. If we start having whales or people, monopolizing the politics of Cardano. Yeah. Any thoughts?
My I guess my only thought would be it would be cool if there was a actually I'm not sure if the SPO thing might actually work this way, but it would be cool if there could be a global like ADA holders no confidence vote. But is that actually how the SPO thing works?
What do you mean? How the SPO things work?
I think I remembered something about like you can oh, I guess it's the other way around. Like the or no, like the SBOs can vote no confidence in the constitutional committee, right? And like force an election of a new one. That could be
I'm not sure.
I know people can vote no
yeah, I don't
confidence.
know. I guess that's only semi incoherent. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was also gonna ask if does like separation of powers is it only internal to the Constitution or does it include like yeah, like external conflict D-reps or committee members are also like running a company that has to do things a certain way, like the like I don't know if everybody remembers the block stream thing, like where something like that. Like what is like what are the what's the extent of the powers thing? Yeah.
Yeah, I think separation of powers shouldn't include. I don't know if it includes conflict of interests. I guess not, because that would be a different wording. I think we're more talking
Yeah, I'm
about
not
the
sure.
powers.
I'm not sure I even have an opinion on whether it does or not. I was just wondering.
Yeah,
But
initially I was, so as you can see now, I've started creating a section there for the two main topics that we're going to cover and just adding some questions. And maybe we could, because we're almost close to the end of today's call, maybe on Thursday we can focus more on what we're going to cover. And just to keep it in perspective, although we're going around this, the questions that the facilitator is going to present to us are very concrete. They're already written. So what these questions are going to do for us is to try to make us think as well. So, and what we're doing in these calls is to go ahead and advance that work a bit and try to find out more about this theme. So yeah, today here on Thursday, it's not that we are selecting what questions we're going to work on Saturday. Those are already selected, but we are basically educating each other on nuances of these topics. Okay.
Okay, cool. That's good because I feel like totally not competent to try and like structure a discussion. Yeah, cool.
But I think it's nice. Like if we have questions, if we are coming up with these questions, it would be nice. But I know we are not going to discuss them, even from experience, with other constitutional workshops online, or even with the catalyst workshops, which is not the same thing, but was similar. Usually they are very structured. They give you a few questions, you have a few minutes, you have to answer that. A lot of the times you want to continue the discussion, but you don't have time.
Yeah.
And that's how it works. So I think here will be the same probably.
So here, for example, you can see on the questions, we were just talking about like working with the document of the Constitution and going with the questions. Here, they're explicitly saying this answer. So let's just go over this very quickly. The constitutional guardrails specify minimum and maximum size for the Constitutional Committee and the minimum maximum term lengths, but does not otherwise address details of the composition of the CC. So again, this is on the Constitutional Committee part. And so select additional provisions that the Constitutional should include. Okay, so we're being shown a lacking, let's say. It does not address the details of the composition of the CC. So in here we have the answers that we could elect. So it's a bit, it's not dense, but I think just by going into this with you guys here, it helps me understand why it's going to take like an hour and a half or 45 minutes. I'm not sure. So for some questions, at least 40 minutes, because we're going to just be going over this question and say, okay, we should have a fixed number of CC members, or we should have, yeah, here, for example, it's an open answer. So it just says the Constitution does not define the number of CC members, and it should have there how they are determined. It doesn't even say, you know, how specifically they are determined. Possibly, we would have other questions there. Right? We here, for example, there's one interesting one where it's a multiple answer, or at least in Portuguese we say that it's like an option, but you can just select. You can also just enter your text.
Yeah, I
I
think
missed
this
that
is
on my
something.
first reading that they don't specify how the committee members are determined. Yeah.
I think in the next call as well, this is good for us to go through the questions and understand what we'll be discussing if you want to prepare for Saturday.
Yeah. You said go over
These questions, like
the questions.
and the answers, and just in general, what we'll
Okay.
be discussing, I guess, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
we
yeah.
are not going to discuss everything.
Okay. So just gonna add here. This is a title for our topics. Noisy car coming outside. Sorry about that. And maybe what we can do is already prepare a space there and start outlining what we want to cover. Can you still guys hear me okay?
Yeah, there's a bit of music in the background, but we can hear you well.
It's like this. It's gonna turn green for him in a bit. You're gonna listen to the music. Go away. There he goes. Okay, so you were saying, and I think it's really great idea on September 19th when we have the last of these calls. Let's go over the questions that we are going to cover. So that's something that we can share with the rest of the guys. So Robertino, Sebastian, maybe the other colleague that joined us from the US, and invite them to prepare that with us. Maybe we could even separate. What we can do is we could create a survey on Telegram, and each person can like answer, selecting the questions that they volunteer to look into. Does that sound good?
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
What do you mean with look into?
So we have, I think, about 5 or 6 questions, and it takes you, I don't know, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, to look into each question. So what we can do instead of sorry, to try to separate that work is, instead of everyone looking at all the questions, I'm going to create just a topic, a list of all the questions, like very quickly, like summarize this, summarize that, 23.1, 23A, 23 something. And although everyone can look at all the questions, I can declare to the group that I'm going to focus on this and that one. And Jeff can pick the other ones, and we can distribute that way who looks at what. And then when we come to the call, we could all share a bit and go over them. But we already have, hopefully, people that have looked at those specific questions. Is that clear, Rafael?
Yeah, I'm just wondering whether we are going like diving too deep, because it feels like we are kind of doing in advance the work we are going to be doing in the workshop on the
Well,
Yeah.
I think the idea is just that, like, if there are some important details that are hard to find, like, at least one person will like know the context behind each question or something.
yeah. I mean, my fear or is like if people start thinking too much about it, starting to come up with their own logic, getting like attached to it, and then you kind of go to the constitution and you're not so open to other ideas because you've researched the topic in depth, and that sometimes happens, right?
I agree, but it also creates people that have different depths of understanding on each topic, where now, I hope maybe it's just a few people, well, at least less people have that understanding. So if we try to foster this discussion, when we get there, we're going to be in a better position. One thing, like we were talking, Rafael, is to have people reshuffle themselves in the room. So hopefully these people that are a bit more prepared could help the discussion in the table. But I understand what you were saying about being too biased or being already with their opinions formed. It's just going to be, my answer to that is that it's going to be a discussion on who can, it's not convinced, but do your reasons make sense against mine, or do mine make sense against yours? So it's I would say reason would prevail after we have those discussions.
Yeah, I understand what you mean. Yes and no, but yeah, I understand it. Because some things I feel are still a bit subjective, right? What you feel is a conflict of interest, I might feel is not, and the other way around. So,
Yeah.
in terms of separation of powers, especially, right?
Okay.
And probably what people later will think is different than what any of us think anyway, right? Like, it'll have to change.
Could you say again?
Oh, probably whatever we think is a conflict of interest now, like, people will redefine it a little bit later anyway. Like, we don't
Yeah.
really, like, nobody ever has to say on it.
Mm-hmm. And in the end, it really only matters in terms of like I was explaining, people convincing each other of what's right and wrong, right? So, yeah. Okay, guys, we're really getting to the 1 hour mark on our original time. So I'm not sure if you guys want to add something else, or I'm running out of battery actually as well. So maybe we could leave it at the for this.
Totally. Should I try and make a nicer version of the PDF, or maybe I'll wait and see if you get one from Intersect and then work
Yeah.
on it if not.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask for help from the guys
Okay, cool.
from the
Yeah.
group. Yeah, I'm gonna make
If
sure I
they
don't
if they
forget.
do, if they don't for some reason, I think I can do it.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
I'm
no
gonna
reason
reply
to
to
if
you
they
on
do.
Telegram. Okay.
Awesome. So on my side, thank you guys, and I see you maybe Tuesday, Thursday if I can, or at
Yes,
least
please.
Saturday
Yeah.
for sure, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Saturday for sure. And I'm concerned that we have like 28 signups and maybe 15 people that show up, but let's see how it goes. I hope we have full house.
That can happen sometimes in some events in the past. They have like a bunch of signups. I remember one Cardano, not the last Cardano Summit, the one after, before, they had like a bunch of signups, and then the people who actually showed were just like a very small portion. of the sign up. It was still like 40 people, but they had almost 200 people signing up. So yeah, it was crazy. And like the
You mean the
gathering,
one by Santa Apollonia?
no, it was not Santa Paula. It was like near Marques. It was the 2022 Cardano Summit. They
Yeah.
had a hotel, then they had like a coffee break and stuff, and then there's like it didn't add lunch, but it was so many things like just there in terms of the coffee break. Just people weren't eating because it was for many more people that we just basically had lunch there with the coffee break.
That's the thing. Yeah, we were just fine tuning the catering, and I'm afraid we're gonna have like bring Tupperware, guys. So maybe you can have to.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Or maybe what we could do is have dinner as well.
Yeah, maybe we can have
we,
dinner.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Anyway,
good idea, actually. Like having a
hopefully
dinner,
not. Hopefully
chill
we'll get
dinner
everyone
with
there.
the people. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure if I showed up at the hostel with like 20 extra meals, they would all get eaten immediately. So that would be fine.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll bring the Tupperwares. That's funny.
Take care, guys. Thanks for everything.
All
Speak
right.
soon.
Bye bye.
Cool.
Take care.
See you Thursday.
See you.
See ya.